Good morning everyone and welcome back to another casted game. Today we're checking out a live game here between Levor Texicon here in the south of the map, playing as Malta, and he is up against this Asian player who's playing Hausa. So this is a bit of a lower elo game than what I usually stream. It's about like 14 to 1500, so it's gonna be interesting to see what these guys are gonna be up to. Now, this is actually quite an interesting map. We got these turrets here in the middle, which you can actually capture by killing these guardians, and it can actually be really useful just getting some early military out and start taking out these units, because they also give like huge XP once you kill them. So you can see the Maltese explorer here is going for that nice wood treasure, 45 wood. He's not using his crack shot, so I guess he used the crack shot beforehand. And we can see the Hausa player here, he's gonna use the chaos ability on his plague doctors, and the chaos ability actually works longer the stronger the unit is. So this plague doctor, for instance, he is actually stunned for a really long time. So it's gonna be a really nice pickup here, 100 XP, that's gonna be amazing. That's gonna mean that the Hausa player is gonna get his first shipment in really easily. I think this is actually going to be enough XP to actually give him that shipment. Yeah, it is. So he has selected his deck. He got the pretty standard deck, I would say. Though some things that is a bit different is the fact that he has the silversmith card. Not really that often you see that card, and it also has the Masina Madrasa, and these two together are actually really good if you want to get a really coin focused eco here with the 30% extra coin gather rate around universities together with this 20. So that's actually a really coin focused deck, and he actually also have the Dane guns upgrade that makes the Maigadis actually cost gold, so that's also a really interesting decision here. And then you also got the other upgrade card for the Maigadis that makes them more effective against cavalry and also adds extra hit points. So we're definitely gonna see some Maigadis strategy here, and we see he also has a ton of influence. So if I were his opponent right now seeing this deck, I would definitely go for something that's good against infantry, preferably fire throwers or some other artillery, although Xbows could work as well. But the problem with Xbows is as soon as they get in range, they're so weak that they will get insta-killed by the Maigadis essentially. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the Maltese guy reacts to that. Meanwhile, picking up another nice treasure here with Plague Doctors, and this is a 90-foot treasure, and if he gets it in time, it will actually help him get that HF up, but it's gonna take him a bit of time, so he's actually just gonna get the HF before, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's gonna help him get the wood upgrade. He can actually go onto the wood a little bit quicker with that treasure, but yeah, quite a nice pickup, getting some nice XP. The Maltese Explorers up here in this corner picking up for the coin, so he's focusing on these lighter treasures using his crack shot. So interesting also the placement here of the livestock market, very far forward. Now ideally you would have the marketplace like somewhere around here, and on this map this TP is actually quite close, so if you put down your university here you can actually get it in range. So that's probably what he wants to do, although this tree right here is actually a bit in the way, so maybe it's actually two in the way. So he's chopping some wood and gathering some coin, and it looks like he's macroing for either a palace or a university. He does have a shipment now, so we'll see if he actually sends the Hausa Kingdom. In that case, now would be the time. Yeah, he's gonna get it probably perfect timing actually. I think he's gonna get like the second AHS, and he's actually opting to build a university as well. So quite interesting. He's gonna get that university on the HUP, so he's actually gonna have two universities. Now he's switching away from the gold. He's trying to get some food, but he still keeps a few villagers here, and then actually used villagers to help build this to get it up even faster. And he gathered even more wood to actually get that TP, or I think maybe he actually sold the cattle as well. Yeah, it looks like he did. Meanwhile, the Maltese player is aging up there with the outpost, and it's gonna be interesting to see what he goes for. He has a pretty eco-focused deck. Yeah, he got all of these eco upgrades, so if I was up against this, I would definitely presume that my opponent would stay very back in his base and just turtle up. So I think this is gonna really play into Hausa's favor, because the Maigadis really needs time to get Kraken, and he's gonna get that time against this Maltese player. So he does get his war cap down. It looks like he aged up with Hausa. Yeah, he did. So he's gonna send in the second shipment now, which is gonna be the Palace of Mina. So a really influence heavy build here. He used the Hausa Kingdom to get this university down and also this. Now this university is really interesting. I guess he just wanted it to be close to the mine, maybe, to get the Madras upgrades later on, because he's not gonna get that town center. Maybe it would be better to actually place more around here. But yeah, interesting there. He's just gonna double down on that influence. Now getting the palace builder as well is gonna give him even more influence, and he's gonna be able to actually just get a lot of influence. Now, meanwhile, he's trying to raid, but he's coming up against some sentinels. Now, the sentinels will make short work of those units, and he really needs something to deal with those sentinels. I would start training Fulani now if I were him, because this is gonna be a real nuisance, because he just doesn't have anything against this right now. But he is getting his palace up, so perhaps he will start training some Maigadis as soon as it comes up, and he really needs to go back with these villagers, because these sentinels have really high attack for being just HG units. 23 attack, so quite a bit of idle time here, but yeah, the town center is gonna be enough to protect against those. Meanwhile, he's trying to take some treasures here with his raiders, which is exactly what you want to do. The raiders are really good against treasure guardians, but he's probably gonna lose this kingdom builder if he doesn't pay attention now. And he used the ability in the town center to get that out, and oh, this is looking really dicey. He's really fumbling up his micro here, losing a villager. And he will probably lose this wagon now unless he places the foundation, but he can't really place the foundation either, because if he does that, then he will lose it anyway, because of the fact of this sentinel's huge raiding ability. And yeah, that's just really unfortunate, losing 400 influence. Though he gets his Fulani shipment in, and he's gonna be able to pick off all of those sentinels in return, so it wasn't a terrible trade, but definitely not the thing he wanted, because he's gonna want to have that influence boom to get those Maigadis out. And he is actually gonna use the ability now again to get another palace out, and preferably he would get the palace in range of this university, because he already has one in the range of this one. So you can see his influence is really just coming in. Now, he really ideally wants to upgrade to Stagecoach here and get the TPs on influence as well, because they give just way more than the universities do. But for now, he's gonna keep it on XP. I guess he really wants that XP for the shipment. Talking of shipments, he's gonna have another shipment, and he's actually gonna go for the influence. So I think he's just gonna, with that influence, just build even more wagons. And he just built a TP wagon, interestingly enough. So maybe he'll go for this TP right here. Although I'm not really sure why he bought this builder, because, well, it's just way cheaper to just buy the TP for wood and food. But interesting decision there. I think it would have been better to just build another palace wagon and place a university here and then build this yourself. But especially considering the fact that it has 400 wood value, like trading in that cattle, he could definitely get two TPs. And he's gonna pick up this tower. It's gonna be really nice. This Fulani is gonna make short work of the musketeers, and he's also gonna get that explorer from the Maltese player. So overall, just really nice start here. I think in this position it looks really good for the Hausa players. He's went for a really boomy strategy, and he hasn't really had a lot of pressure. He managed to pick off those sentinels. Meanwhile, we can see the Maltese player, he's actually getting some settler wagons out. He got the buff from the Wigna court as well. So you can see the Maltese player is also quite happy in his base here. He's also went for distributivism, so he's gone quite greedy here as well. But I do still think that right now it's looking better for Hausa, actually, because Hausa just has managed to get so many of these universities out, and they are just really, really good. Also, he got his trading post. Now, the Maltese player hasn't actually taken his trading post, and on this map in particular, you should always go for the trading post, because it's just so easy to defend it, and it gives so much resources. Meanwhile, we can see the Hausa player just putting out even more wagons, and you can see this is really when the ball starts to roll, because you get these first universities, and they trickle in influence, so you can build more of them, and that in turn gives you even more. So he is just really happy here, just building a lot of buildings, and he's actually dropping down a palace here in the middle as well, and a university. Now he got this TP, but as far as I know, the European TPs don't actually trickle any influence. It doesn't seem like that way. So we should definitely put a university here to make it worthwhile. He has the resources. He could just go with the Explorer and build 2 universities here right now, and he would have insane influence gathering. But instead, he's opting to build those wagons. It's really convenient to build the wagons here with this Kingdom Builder ability, but you have to remember you are paying a bit of an overprice because you're using that influence. Like, if you have the wood and gold, and if you have good livestock value, it's always better to just build it with your Explorer, because your Explorer is so mobile, he's not really doing a lot anyway, so might as well go around and build those for normal resources. Now he's pushing some villagers forward here. He has kind of gained control of the map, and he's actually taking every single tower except for this last one, which he'll get right now. So the Maltese player is really backed himself into a corner here. He hasn't really applied much pressure. His first gold mine is just run out, and he needs to herd in that herd and this herd, because right now he is just all over the place. Meanwhile, we see Hausa player actually aging up now, and we're gonna see what he went for. So we went for the Moroccans. He actually sent even more influence, so he went for the 600 influence as well. So I'm really curious to see what the Maltese player is doing right now, and he's actually also aging up with the bishop. So he's gonna, and he also went for that church to get some extra XP, although still no trading post, and he has so much wood backed up. Like, imagine just building these trade posts, and he doesn't really have a lot of barracks either, so it would be really useful for him, I think, just build another hospital. And there he goes, he just dropped down that hospital and also needs some housing. So it looks like he's gonna go for an Xbow type of play. He's also sending the crossbow and pikeman upgrade, so yeah, he's definitely gonna just focus on the Xbows, and we'll see how that goes. Now Xbows do counter the Maigadis, but if Hausa gets any unit to snare with, then it can be a really difficult trade, because once the Maigadis get in range, they will do just insane damage. And now we see the Hausa player actually sending in the Dane guns upgrade. He hasn't gone for the silversmith. Now, if I were him, I would probably send silversmith over 600 tokens. I don't really know why he sent the 600 tokens, because he already has a ton of influence, and honestly has such good influence generation by itself. And we see a nice raid here coming in from the Hausa player, and ooh, that is a really good spot there. So ideally the Maltese player would have his army here out on this mine, because there isn't really much other stuff to protect here on the other sides, and the Maltese player trying to herd in this herd, but it's going really slowly. Meanwhile, he's scouting this herd right here, so ideally the Maltese player would also build some Order Hussars, maybe raid up here in the corner. The Order Hussars would actually be really good right now against the composition of Hausa, because Hausa has the Raiders and the Fulani, both of which are not great against Hussars. But we see the Maltese player pushing out now, and we also see some javelins coming out, so it's gonna be interesting to see if a fight breaks out. It does look like the Maltese player actually has a bigger army at this time, and he's gonna lose, the Hausa player is gonna lose all of these villagers if he doesn't move them away, and in the last second they actually move them away, so that's really fortunate. Now the Hausa player is moving his whole army just to kill the Explorer, which is not a great decision considering he's already spotted those. He's also getting some of these builders for the mines. I don't remember exactly what they call the mountain monasteries. I guess he got that from tech in this, it must have been. Interesting to see if it will go for any of these other techs. I don't know. Maybe this range infantry increased damage. This would actually be quite good, but it's also really expensive. 400 influence to get a 5% increase. But if the game progresses for long and he actually decides to make a lot of Maigadai, then that could definitely come in handy. Now he isn't training any Maigadai yet, which is kind of weird because he has the upgrade card already in. And interesting, I wonder if they've actually changed it. So the Maigadai apparently only cost 90 influence right now. I thought it was 100. Maybe he got some upgrade card or something. But anyway, he's gonna go for falconets actually instead. So that is really interesting, especially against a Civ with some of the best culverins in the game. I think actually just going Maigadis would have been pretty good in this case, considering how many sentinels there are. And considering the fact that he has so much gold and so much influence. But he's gonna go for those cannons. It could actually get a batch of 5 if he wanted to. Meanwhile, he's training some cows. This is always something you see a lot of players missing. Like, this is just so good. Building another livestock pen and just adding a few more of those cows. And he's gonna pop out the falconets here, but he's probably gonna lose them if the Maltese player just rushes. But yeah, the Maltese player not really opting to rush, so he's instead gonna try to shoot them down. And I think that's a bit of a mistake, because that's gonna give the Hausa player so much time, and he's losing all of his anti-cav. And now there's a lot of raiders still left, and he only got Xbows, and he just committed way too early. He needed to back down and get some culverins, but instead he chose to take this fight. And yeah, this is just not looking great for the Maltese player, and I think that was just a huge slip of him taking that fight under that fort with all of those cannons without any proper anti-cannons. But he is getting the cavalry down, and he managed to escape with still quite a decent mass of Xbows, and it really shows you the power of the Maltese Xbows. They're just so damn powerful. It will also be interesting to see what the gathering looks like. So we got 0.81 coin a second here, and I wonder how that compares to Hausa. Yeah, so we got actually a bit better coin gathering. So the eco of Maltese is actually probably pretty good. But we see 2 falconets popping out right now, and this is gonna be perfect for Hausa, and he's gonna get some really nice shots off. So I think the Maltese player is just playing way too aggressively. He needs something to deal with the cannons. He really can't stay and take this fight. But I say that, and actually does manage to get all of the Hausa units. And meanwhile, Hausa ages up. But what did he age up with? I don't know. He aged up with the influence. Okay, interesting. So he's actually sending Yoruba, and this is gonna be perfect. They pop the Yoruba popping right here, and that's like super strong lancers. He's training some Yoruba, and he's gonna get that really, really nice pop. And yeah, these units just gonna make short work of those Xbows. They got the 56 hand attack. Yeah, there's just nothing the Xbows can do against this. That was such a nice age-up and so unexpected. So really interesting gameplay, seeing the strategy, and that's really the power also of going for that influence boom. He can just, whenever he wants, he can just plop off some Yorubas. Whenever they die, he can just build a few new ones, because he got so much influence generation. So it's basically like a factory just spamming out this Yoruba. And yeah, this is just looking really good for Hausa. We can see Hausa is really kicking off here and score. And now the problem is the Maltese player hasn't really taken any map control, and he's losing a lot of resource here on the map. So he does have a lot of buildings shooting, and actually these buildings are quite good against cavalry. So and these riders are actually really bad against villagers. So for now he's actually gonna be able to survive. And if the Hausa player knows his stuff, he should build some griots now and just heal these guys up to full health again. But we'll see what he does. He is stacking a lot of resources actually. He could almost go to H5 to be honest, if he just sold a bit of gold, which is pretty crazy. So I wonder what his game plan actually is. He has a lot of idols, and right now it just seems like he's just a bit overwhelmed with his position. He's sending in the 10 villagers twice, so he's getting 20 villagers out of thin air here. So he got 50 villagers. We'll see what the Maltese player is on. So the Maltese player is quite ahead with 62 villagers, and he is actually really good. He has all of his villagers on resource. He doesn't have a single idle villager here, which is really nice. Meanwhile, the Hausa player actually has 13 idle, but now he's sorting out his villagers. But yeah, I think it's hard to tell whose economy is better. It does look like Maltese maybe have the slight upper hand, but the problem is that Hausa has this incredible influence boom with the triple university. Ideally, he would actually even make the last university here, just put it by this trade site. And he actually could use the Greek Revolutionary now, and he could spawn a band of military here. He would actually get 10 free units, and if I'm not mistaken, these units are actually, I think, even upgraded to H4 stats immediately. And there he goes for that ability, and here we see the sacred band infantry, and the music is on. They have 25 attack with a quite fast rate of fire actually, and decent range. I guess this is a Musk type unit, yeah. So they have multiplier against cavalry. It's gonna be quite nice to add to his army. Meanwhile, we see some raiding here. You got the Magyar Hussars out. Oh, those guys are just insane. 1,000 hit points, 45 attack. I guess he made those from this TP. No? Maybe he got them from some ability or something. Yeah, so this spawns Magyar Hussars the longer you wait. So he actually used both abilities to get both the Sacred Band and the Magyar Hussars. And now he's adding some Lefidi. He still hasn't healed up those Eurobase Riders, so this feels like a really big mistake. They're all on 1 HP, so that's really unfortunate. He is building some Maigadis now. Yeah, and these units are just so strong. This is like the opposite of the Maltese strategy. So the Maltese like using these really bad, like these really weak, cheap units, just getting a huge mass, while he's instead focusing on as few units as possible and just getting the strongest units in the game. And I think this is gonna go actually quite well for Hausa, because there's not a lot of pikemen here, and he does have a lot of cav. If he can just pick off these pikemans, and especially when the opponent is rushing in with the pikemans like this, then he's just gonna make the same mistake again. He's gonna lose all of his anti-cav. He's not gonna have any anti-cav left for these cavalry units. So yeah, the Hausa player can just dive in. These pikemans are no match for these upgraded cavalry units, and there is so much Lefidi here. So the Maltese unit does manage to get that fort down, but at the same time there's just even more cavalry coming in, and while the Xbows are really good and in mass they can kill a cavalry, it's just such an ineffective trade. And meanwhile we got these Maigadis just dashing out 60 damage a piece. So basically 3 shots from these Maigadis take out one of these archers. But we see him actually backing out with the cavalry. This is actually a huge mistake. He's trying to avoid these pikemen, but he wants to have the cavalry here in front of his units so they can soak the damage from the Xbows, because the Xbows is gonna make short work of the Maigadis if they actually get in range. Now I wonder if he actually has the upgrade that gives them the extra multiplier against the Maigadis. And let's see here, he actually does, he had the steel bolts, so that's gonna make him actually really effective against Hausa's units right now. And he does manage to get some reinforcement pikes, and surprisingly he does manage to hold, and he actually has quite a sizable mass. Now I think it was very interesting fight, and it all came down to micro, and I just think that the Hausa player just messed up the micro slightly there. And also here you want to like split up your army, shoot different units so you survive. And this fight is just really good for the Maltese player, because he got all of these Xbows, and with the steel bolts he can just siege this building. It will take no time at all. Like these builder wagons, like for some reason are like the slowest building builder wagons in the whole game. They take forever to build, so literally any single unit could take that out. And now he has to get his reinforcing cavalry from the back here. Now imagine if he actually got that fort up and he could actually send these cavalry units from the front. And I think Hausa is getting a bit desperate here and really diving in with not a lot of units, and it's gonna work pretty poorly, because if the Maltese player actually gets some pikemen out now, he's gonna lose the cavalry and he's gonna lose everything. But fortunately for Hausa, there's just more Xbows coming, and but because they are just huge mass, they can just take on these cavalry units anyway. So overall a pretty even trade, but we do see 5 falconets coming to reinforce, and if he just gets some units to defend these falconets, then that could really mean the end of it. Meanwhile we see some really forward villagers here by the Maltese player, so like if Hausa sees this, which he does, he should just go over there and raid with some raiders, but instead he's gonna focus here on the middle of the map. And now here's the problem: Hausa needs to go on farms, and we all know that's the death sentence for Hausa. Their farms are just the most terrible in the whole game for some reason. And yeah, it's gonna be tough for him now. He didn't send the silversmith, so he doesn't have the extra yield on the mines either, and he kind of only has this mine left once this runs out, so it's gonna be tough for him. Although he has a lot of resources saved up, especially influence. Like imagine actually having the Gatling camels in the deck. He could send the Gatling camels right now, but he doesn't have it, and that's gonna be a big problem. Also, his cattle value is really low, so it does seem like he's traded in a lot of those cattle units, and he hasn't actually gotten cow loans either, which is a bit of a mistake if the game progresses this late. And just use his ability to get some more units out. I guess he got another Magyar Hussar probably. There is one Magyar Hussar standing there, so yeah. We're all quite nice. He is getting the multinationalism. I'm not completely sure what that does actually. I guess it's a tech in one of these TBs. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting stuff. And he's actually going for the influence. Like, okay, interesting. So he actually spent all of his influence. So maybe that upgrade was really expensive. I don't know. But he did get some units here. Oh, yeah, it's the shipment that gives you a random assortment of units. So, let's look like I actually got some nice units. Rifle Infantryman is, of course, really good. Arquebusiers, also really nice unit. And even got the Cannoneer here as well. Although the Cannoneer is not that good late game. And a Jaeger. So, overall, quite nice units. He got a really strong army here. And I think it's actually go time. He could actually decide to push with this. And meanwhile, we see the Maltese player is getting really really bold here with his settler wagons, and he's just moving out his army all over the place. And we also saw some anti-cav there in the form of these Order Dragoons, and the Order Dragoons just a perfect addition to the veteran crossbow. But the problem is they're just really out of position, and the fight breaks out before he even had time to use them. And this is looking extremely good for Hausa. There's just way too much cavalry, and these Order Dragoons just came into the fight way too late. He got a culverin here, and actually 2 reinforced culverin in the back, but they were also really out of position, so he didn't manage to snipe those cannons. And these Maigadis are just insane with their incredible attacks, 61 attacks, so they're just gonna make short work of the Order Dragoons, and it's looking like a GG, to be honest. And we can see the Maltese player is actually aging behind this also, so it was really the perfect time to strike for Hausa, because he's just gathering way too much wood here. And I think the problem was he really ran out of gold mines, and that was why he needed to be so bold with his villagers, because he's building estates, and yeah, that's just really not a position you want to be in this part of the game. So yeah, it's just looking really good for Hausa here, and I think we'll see a complete cleanup. I wonder what Hausa is doing behind this. So he's actually getting so much research. He could actually sell food and sell some wood and actually age up to age 5 and get age 5 Maigadis right now if he wanted to. It's also getting the other upgrade for the Maigadis, so they're just gonna be incredibly buffed. So quite an interesting strategy. I really like the use of the Yoruba and the Maigadis. They're just such cool units and just incredibly strong, and it really shows you how you can actually beat this massive Xbows and just utilize the cavalry against a civ like Malta, who really likes its Xbows. So now you can see he's really just moving in, he's just killing everything, and honestly I don't know why the Maltese player hasn't given up yet, because he's just really screwed. I wonder what he's gonna send. We didn't actually see any fixed guns. He's training some Hussars and actually gets a really nice connector with the Hussars, actually killing 2 of the cannons. But yeah, it's not gonna be enough. There's just way too much units here all over the place. So now the Maigadis are actually upgraded. They're actually bugged into the ground. What the hell is happening here? I haven't seen this glitch before. So interestingly, they're still sieging the building, but they're just hiding here in the ground. And is using the ability again to get some extra Magyar Hussars, and yeah, it's looking really good for Hausa. And we see some Order Hussars popping out again, and he's not protecting his falconets. He's gonna lose all 3 falconets, but yeah, at what cost? He's actually just killing all of the villagers, and somehow most of the units are actually starting to get killed off here. But at this point Malta has just lost his entire base, and yeah, he's just really screwed. And this just looks hilarious. What the heck is happening here? What is this? What the heck is going on? This is the funniest thing I've seen. You see that they actually shoot as well while in this stance. What the heck is happening? That is so strange. Meanwhile, we see a mass of Xbows here, actually getting a seizable mass here. These units will actually counter the Maigadis and those units really well. Oh, they don't really play the die animation as well. Like, such a strange bug. Just looks really freaking odd. We're gonna see these Xbows will probably actually take out these units, and he's gonna stop this army for now. But yeah, just look at the resources. We're just getting a ton of raiders right now. I wonder if I actually have the Derver Parade. Yeah, it does look like I have it. So he even has the area of effect attack on the Lefidi, and yeah, they're just gonna counter these Xbows so well. Yeah, he's just going to town on these units, and you can also see some Minutemen being popped, but the thing is the Minutemen, they don't shadow take, so they're just really terrible in the later stages of the game, and sure, they will get a few units out, but yeah, it's just not gonna be nearly enough. Meanwhile, we see some reinforcing units here. Ideally, the Hausa player will build some barracks right here. Now, we also see a fort being dropped down. He's actually going for the H5, training Maigadis behind that as well, sending the Masina Madrasa card. So he's gonna get like even better economy. Now, sending that card now isn't that great because there's not a whole lot of mines left, but I guess at least we'll get that wood gathering upgrade. But as soon as he goes into H5, yeah, the Maigadis would just be so buff. So that was that fight, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed that game. It was certainly a really fun game to cast, and I really enjoy that. It's always nice to see the Maigadis get some use. It's not really a like the problem with that unit is it's really slow to get it, and it's really expensive, so it's very unusual to see it in a 1v1. It is quite good in team games though. You really need to counter it with artillery, because the thing is, the Maigadis cost influence, right? So if you're making a Maigadis heavy composition like he is, that means that he's sacrificing actually making cannons, and because they're weak to cannons, he can't really build any culverins. Yeah, that's just the way to deal with it, and you can really exploit their short range with cannons as well. So I don't know, quite nice game, and I hope you enjoyed that game. And let's take a look at the post game, I guess. Most resources was for Hausa, of course, because, well, he was completely unidled that later part of the game. Let's see, actually, if he was ahead all the time. Yeah, so Hausa was pretty much ahead in eco all the time, and that really is that influence, that incredible influence boom. And I think this really shows the power of doing that influence boom. You just get a ton of influence, and actually he got 5,000 influence here. Interesting. So I guess he did the upgrade that gives you influence for each killed unit. I really missed that. That's incredible, getting that much influence. But yeah, anyways, hope you enjoyed that game, and I'll see you guys in the next video.